Hi, it's 1T, and in this video, I will be giving you a video tour of MyLab Math. Now, I'm doing this in my DMAT 0305 course, which is Developmental Mathematics, but it doesn't matter which course you're taking with me, they're all set up the same way, so you'll see the same features and the same setup. So this is normally the screen your home screen that you'll see when you get into your course, sign into the course. Let's click on MyLab Math. Now, notice you have links to the other, or here's the other links within eCampus. MyLab Math is just one of them. You can get to this screen by clicking on Content, and then if you click here, you'll go back to that original screen that we were just at. But anyway, once you get to here, course support you won't normally go into, but if you ever have a situation where you have an IT problem and Pearson has to help you, they're going to have you go in there to give them some information. Fortunately, that we haven't had a whole lot of problems in the last few semesters. Hopefully things will be good this semester. But normally you're going to go under Pearson course materials. And I don't think you'll see my links, but if you do, I honestly don't think you will, but you wouldn't be able to go into those. Here's your links. And so normally you're going to go into all assignments, but I want to take you here so you can see what else is available. Now this is definitely different than what you would have seen in the past, the way things are set up. Like manage course and other things, you're not going to really need those. There's again another link to assignments. Student gradebook, if you go in there, it'll tell you your grades for specific assignments. Just keep in mind the overall grade will not be accurate because of the way things are set up. That's why after each test, I update grades in eCampus. And so that's the grade you want to pay attention to. And again, that's after each test. E-text contents, that's how we get into the book. And let's go ahead and click on e-text. Now, if accessibility is concerned for you, you would click on this other link for accessible e-text, but we're going to go to the regular one. It does take a little bit of time to download. And I actually had already pulled up this page or this section. This is your table of contents. And so it's just as if you had the paper book in front of you, you could go to whatever section you want to go to. Everything that you would find in the paper book is available to you here. I've already gone into 5.2. This is on percent. And let's see, I'm a few pages in here. So I want you to notice that it's just like a normal textbook. You could read through the problems and look at the examples, and then they'll give you some practice problems to try, and you'll find the answers. Actually, this one tells you the answer right below, but sometimes you have to go to the next page or a couple pages down. Now, I've minimized the page in order to do this video, but if it's full size, these are links to videos. This is a video for the whole section, or let's say you're just having a problem with a certain concept, you can click on the video for that concept. So it's very interactive, very well done. These are our 3 different objectives here, so this is just the first. So anyway, that's your textbook. You also have access to the textbook when you're doing homework. It'll take you to the specific section that you're in. But this was a way to get in at any time during the course into any section. So let's go ahead and click out of here. Study plan, you can check that out if you want, but I don't really utilize that. And believe me, I give you enough to do. The video and resources library is one you might be interested in. So notice here, I'm going to go to chapter 5 on percent. I'm going to click on the introduction to percent. And this basically just gives you all the resources that are available for section 5.2. But you'll find that when you're doing the homework, in the lecture folders, these are the kinds of things that I have put in there. But you do have the ability to go in using the link that I just showed you. If you're interested in accessible resources, you can click here. If you really want a paper copy of the book and you're willing to pay 80 bucks, and it is pricey, it's in a 3-ring binder and they'll send that to you. That is an option, although I haven't seen a whole lot of people do that, but you can. Document sharing, at some point I might share some documents with you there, but normally I just email them out to the class. And I think that's about all that I need to show you there. So let's go ahead and go into assignments. So I could do it here, but remember when we first come into Pearson, you can click right here. And so you can see I've opened up a lot of the assignments already for the first test. And let's see, why don't we go into the first section. I do want to mention a couple things here though. Notice there's a MyLab math orientation. If you never used MyLab and you're concerned about how to put in answers and that kind of stuff, then go through that. Or if you struggle as you're working through it, you can always go back and check it out. The calculator that I recommend, this is a video that goes over all the basics of that calculator. It'll give you an idea of the kinds of things you should be able to do if you have your own calculator. The main thing is you just want to have a calculator that's easy to use. It's nice to have a nice little window so you can see everything getting typed in as you put it in. So it's more like a computer than one of the really old calculators where it only showed you a number at a time. It's a great calculator, especially if you're going on to 1332. I highly recommend that calculator. It's a really nice one just to have around your house, and because it's so easy to use. It's really great with fractions. If you're going to be going on to college algebra, you might want to get a graphing calculator, the TI 84. But that is normally going to cost you at least 100 bucks, at least if you get a new one. Anyway, but this is the calculator that I recommend for most students in this course. So notice for each homework assignment, there's actually 2 to start here. This is the lecture folder. There's always a lecture folder before the homework. And so if you click on the lecture folder, notice the videos that start with 1T, those are my videos. Now I didn't want to go through every little detail of whole numbers, so I've narrowed it down and put all the topics into these 2 videos. If you watch all this other stuff, it's going to include a lot more than what I did. So recommend that if you see 1T, watch those videos, and that's going to be very precise as far as preparing you for what you're going to see in the homework. Now, there may be some sections where you go like, I'm really good at this, like maybe it's fractions, and you might just go to the homework and you can work through the homework and click on the help buttons that I'll be showing you. If you get into trouble, you can always go back and watch the video. But most of the time, if it's something you know you are not real strong at, I would encourage you to watch the video and then go to the homework. And as you're doing the homework, there's also help buttons available to you. So let's go ahead and get out of here. I'm sorry, before we do that though, I just wanted to mention there's a lot here, and I think it's really important, especially early on in the course, to figure out what's the best way for you to learn the material. Now I'm telling you, I'm recommending you to watch my videos, but you also have PowerPoint slides you can look at, and you also have the sections of the book you can go into. In this case, there's a lot being covered here, so I think it's probably in your best interest if you're going to do something in this section, watch these 2 videos and you'll be set for the homework. All right, so let's go back, and I want to go to the percent section, and let's do the lecture part again. Now I don't have videos for most of the sections, but you can see I do have one on percents because again, I didn't want to cover everything that you're going to see in these videos and notes. This is just a basic summary of what I think are the most important things as you get ready to move on to a college level course. Again, this is for DMAT 305. And it's going to be the same for any of the other courses. You'll have lecture folders and then you'll have your homework. Let's go into the homework folder and I'll show you some of the features. So percent assignment. By the way, on the left you saw the due dates. When you go in here, it'll tell you when the assignment's due. I haven't put in the information yet, but if you're late, there's a 25% deduction on any problem that's done late. It'll talk about that right here. I just haven't made that adjustment yet. Let's go to problem number 19. And I'll show you what's available as you're doing your homework. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this problem. It's if you're going to change a decimal to a percent, you got to move that decimal 2 to the right and put in the percent symbol. So this is 25.27%. We'll click on check answer. I got a green check, that means I did it right. And I'll move on to the next question. Now, I'm going to pretend I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm going to put in 1/4 and check answer. And let's make it 1/34. And notice it says final check. I get one more shot at it. Let's do 1/8. So obviously I'm wrong. Final check. It's going to mark it wrong. Now I have a choice here. I can click on Skill Builder and it'll help me prepare to do this problem. Now, in some cases, it may be a little bit more than you want, but you can check that feature out. I'm going to click out of here, and I'm going to go. Now, I could click on similar question and redo this problem, but I'm going to move forward. Now, I can click on the arrows here, or I can click here. You also can click here to get around. So there's a few options for navigating the screen. So let's move on to the next problem. Notice now I have a red X, which means I got that one wrong. So let's say you get through all your homework and you had a couple problems that you got wrong. Notice I can click on that problem I missed. I can click on similar question. So if I move the decimal 2 to the right, this is going to be 10%. Check answer. And notice now I get my green check and it'll take me to the next problem. Now I didn't talk about the help buttons below here. This is in my way. This first button says help me solve this, even though you can't see it. What that does is it'll help you solve this problem and then it'll give you a new one. Now all the numbers are randomly generated, so sometimes you get some really yucky numbers, and so in that case you might miss the problem on purpose and maybe get better numbers the next time. So if you get a nice problem, you might prefer, instead of working through this and doing another problem they'll give you, you could view an example and then come back to this one. The other option is to click here. In this case, the only thing that's available is the textbook, so it'll take you to section 5.3 and you'll see some examples on this problem. You can also click on Ask My Instructor, and so what that'll do is it'll send me an email of the problem. You'll have an opportunity to put in your question and you send me that. Now, depending on how busy things are and how many of these I'm getting, I may or may not be able to get back to you in a timely manner. I'll do my best, but I did want to mention that that is something that's available. And every semester I do have people that use it. I just wanted to mention that. And the other thing you'll sometimes see in here is videos, and there might be some other things. But anyway, the point Well, these are the things that are available to help you. But the other point I wanted to make is anytime you get a problem marked wrong, you can always go back and get a new problem. And if you get that one right, it'll be marked correct, which means you can get 100% on all your homework if you're willing to put in the time. Last thing I want to point out is here you have some other accessibility options. You can print out your homework. Now be careful with that. In the past, I've had students that printed out the homework, they came back in to do their homework, and the numbers changed. And so if that's an issue, would you please send me an email, because I just want to make sure I know how things work or if anybody's running into any problems. Anyway, I think that's about everything I wanted to show you. Um, I hope that that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know.